know what? It's got shades of Weird Al Yankovic as far as I'm concerned.
It does.
There's a bit of piano accordion polka going on in there. But, Richard, it's not what we expected. What's going on with our walk-on song? I thought we had it locked down.
Yeah, I'm a bit embarrassed about this. You may remember last week that a certain, I can't even mention the name of them because of the legal action that's being brought against the band, us, and our entire company.
Yeah, it's dodgy.
We had a band produce a track for us last week, and it was great. It was fantastic, but we didn't have permission.
Right, let's zip it there. Let's zip it there. We don't want to tread on any toes. Wow. Hello and welcome to the Carsguide Podcast, where we tear down, pressure test, and rebuild the issues of the automotive week. I'm James, and with me are Richard.
Hello.
And Matt.
G'day.
This week, among other things, we'll look at Mazda's massively minor update, a big buck fine for Ford, and a bold US freedom fighter. So stay with us. But first, must watch. Right. Okay, so the big news overnight really is that Tesla, maybe there is an involvement with Telstra.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Tesla stock has dropped 5% overnight because crazy Elon conducted a bizarre earnings call where he called what were alleged to be legitimate questions from analysts about gross margins and the company's ongoing Model 3 cash burn boring and not cool. And instead, he was just taking multiple questions from an alleged Tesla enthusiast and YouTuber called Garley Russell. So Garley got the floor and was firing in the questions. The analysts wanting to know about the business just shoved to one side.
But isn't he trying to make boring cool with the Boring Company?
Yeah, so maybe that's his ulterior motive.
He's contradicting himself.
And look, by the way, Tesla also said it's lost another $1.05 billion during the first quarter.
Is that all?
And the Bloomberg Model 3 production tracker has dropped back to 2,132 units a week. So they crested the 2,500, but that's now crashed down on the other side.
Come back down here. They're aiming for 6,000 by when? The end of June?
A few weeks' time.
Yeah, a few weeks' time.
Yeah, a few weeks' time. So,
Crikey.
And to compound that, Elon's still banging on about the Model Y SUV with production scheduled for early 2020. No word on where it'll be built because the Fremont factory is literally stuffed.
It won't be built.
It's full. So,
come on.
There you go. But Richard, you've cottoned on to some interesting developments in terms of the Model 3.
I have. Look, the more observant or the better listeners out there probably would have seen a company called Munro do a teardown of the Model 3 about 2 months ago, around about in February.
And Munro does this on a range of stuff, cars for different brands, and they'll get the data.
Yep.
And then they'll sell it to anyone who wants to buy it.
That's exactly right.
They pull them apart to see how well they're built.
Yeah, they'll buy a Holden Cruise or a Chevy Cruise and they'll pull it apart bit by bit. And they'll cost each part and they'll work out the labour that's gone into it. And then they write a report and then they sell it to whoever wants to buy it.
Not the car, the report.
What's that?
Not the car, the report.
So they've got a Model 3 report.
They've got a Model 3 report. Okay. Now, you might remember a couple of months ago, they did a walk around and they pointed out all the really big issues with the Model 3. We're talking panel gaps the size of your thumb and electrical concerns in terms of getting the boot open or the doors open in an emergency and that type of thing.
You do have very dainty thumbs, though.
I mean,
if you were checking those panel gaps.
I used to dance under the name Dainty Thumbs.
Dainty Thumbs.
That's a different story.
That's true. That is a different story. Anyway, look, Sandy Munro, who's the owner of Munro, went on one of my favourite video shows. It's called Autoline. Everyone else in the world finds it boring. I love it. He went on to explain that even though he gave it a damning report 2 months ago, he did have some spectacular findings to talk about. So he came on and he said, look, absolutely, the way the car's been put together, the old prehistoric technology, he calls it, of putting a car together is terrible. He said he hasn't seen a car put that badly together since a 1990s car. But the electronics on board, he said they also do teardowns for militaries and governments. And he said he hasn't seen sophisticated circuit boardry like this elsewhere outside the military.
Why did your voice automatically go to a whisper, Richard?
It's almost like
about military things.
I always get to a hush tone when I'm talking about military.
All right, well, look, so good and bad. Plenty of bad, plenty of good.
Great electronics, bad fit and finish.
Now, speaking of cars that have been examined and there's feedback and an update, the Mazda CX-5, such a terrific selling car in this market, has allegedly been updated, but it seems as though that's stretching the definition of the word updated. Richard, you went to the launch, so tell us all about it. There may not be much to say, but
when I went to the launch, I felt like that scene in Zoolander where Will Ferrell does that. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It's the same look, and there's no difference to the exterior. There's no difference to the interior.
Right.
The only difference is, and it's actually quite a large difference, is to the engines.
Okay.
Petrol now comes with cylinder deactivation, so you can run on 4 when it's under load, and then it can drop to 2 when you're on a highway.
Yep.
And that saves fuel and load, and efficiency is improved. The diesel engine has got a new turbocharger. It's a 2-stage, and it's got variable geometry with the larger one.
Okay.
And the main issues that I had with the last diesel was that the turbo lag was horrendous, and it was noisy. And they've managed to fix both those issues.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not saying that, Hiroshima has a HQ, Motor Corporation, Mazda Corporation listen to me, but maybe they have. But they have fixed the noise, and they've also fixed that turbo lag with this new turbocharger.
What about the money?
The money, okay, so we've had a price drop. Okay, so the Max stays the same. The Max Sport and the Touring dropped by $400, which is a saving, and then the GT and the Akira dropped by $800 as well.
Hold on, just to confirm, a drop of $400 is a saving.
It's a saving.
That's fantastic.
It's a saving.
I just want to make sure that was the case.
Saving. Not if it's your pants. That's not a saving.
Do you think these...
Depends on the situation. You might save it all.
Do you think these brands like Mazda, they've been seen as aspirational, semi-premium. Do you think they're getting a little bit worried about the bigger, more... well-known luxury brands pushing down and down with their SUVs. I was on the launch of the XC40 this week, and it's not that much difference between a high-spec CX-5 and a base-spec XC40. And I think that maybe these sorts of brands are thinking, well, we've got to be careful with this.
Here's the difference. So what were we talking about in the office? And you said it cost $600 for, what was it, Apple CarPlay, or what was the XC40 offering?
It wasn't CarPlay because that's standard. But
something was being offered for $600 or so, or $700 on the XC40 that came standard on the Max Sport. Might have been heated seats, or might have been no USB port in the back, was it?
No, that was a Porsche. We were talking about a Porsche.
It was a Porsche. It was a Porsche.
Yeah,
right.
Panamera.
Okay. Nothing to do with
because if you want to get your USB port taken out of the Porsche and put into your Volvo, that costs at least $600.
You got to find a good guy for that.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm trying to say is that it's the value equation with the Mazda. You're getting a whole lot of stuff. Okay, look, here's an example. BMW X2. You've got to pay something like $600 to $700 to get Apple CarPlay, right? Bad example because Mazda doesn't offer it, but there are other brands like Hyundai which have it as standard. So in terms of those lower, those I suppose the more affordable SUVs, I think they've retained that value proposition much better than the Prestige.
Was there any word from Mazda on CarPlay or Android Auto?
No, there wasn't.
Okay, so it says it all. So
a major issue.
A little bit more engine tech, some tweaking around the edges, some price drops, but that's about it. So it kind of feels like when you're on a good thing, stick with it. Don't stuff it up.
Make it cheaper.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
Talking of stuffing things up, Ford Australia did so comprehensively a few years ago, and it was all related to the power shift transmission that was in various models. I want to say the Fiesta, the Focus, and EcoSport. And it was in cars built between 2010 and I think sometime in 2016.
That's right.
And it's a dual clutch auto, and it was problematic to say the least. And we know from our own correspondence with readers of Carsguide that there were lots and lots of people disgruntled, unhappy, having problems. So it transpires that Ford was now Ford's admitted being pretty much overwhelmed by the whole situation.
Yeah.
Subsequently, from a product point of view, they've ditched that transmission and put in a conventional torque converter style auto. But in the federal court, Ford Australia's been fined $10 million, and that's going in a case that was raised by the ACCC. Yep. And so that $10 million will go towards ensuring that there's an independent review of cases where owners of those cars didn't get the kind of service response that they should have got, i.e. another car, a replacement car, all of that stuff. And Ford has committed hand on heart to change its processes, but it's a major kick in the backside from a PR point of view, particularly when Ford places such an emphasis in its public messaging on service.
Yeah. I think with with that, the real damage won't be the $10 million fine. The real damage is return customers. People who have been burnt by this won't go back to Ford.
Sure.
And I think that's one thing that maybe Volkswagen can relate to with their DSG transmission issues way back when. And you've got to work hard to get those buyers back.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily going to come back because if you have a car that you can't get fixed,
yes,
no matter how hard you try, why
Yeah.
would you go back? What's the point?
We had people contacting us, just absolutely distraught. Cars were not just missing gears, but they were just becoming stranded in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And they were writing to us and they were saying, look, we have contacted Ford again and again and again. Nothing's being done. I'm being told to go away.
Yeah.
Our only advice was just to keep trying. And then this ruling is fantastic, but it doesn't stop there because there's a separate class action that's taking place against Ford over this transmission as well. It doesn't end there.
Well, I mean, I think the point you make, Matt, is a telling one because we're talking about models here that are in the lower kind of price ranges. It's not as if it's a premium brand where people are kind of rusted on and very loyal to the brand. There's a lot of shifting between brands in that part of the market.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to lose that number of potential repurchases, you're right. $10 million is a lot of money. I could think of many things to do with $10 million. But
you could buy a house in Sydney.
That's true. But the bigger deal is, yes, that loss of face and loss of return custom.
And it's a real shame because that Focus is such a good car. Apart from that, the issues with the transmission, it's a really, really well-priced car. I really like it in every other way.
It's so nice, you'd probably want to steal one.
That's right.
If you saw one, just with the window down, key in the ignition, it would be too tempting, which leads nicely
Nice segue.
to some stats that you've found, Richard. And it's from the National Motor Vehicle Theft Reduction Council. Who knew that organisation actually existed?
It's a government body.
What have we discovered?
Okay, it's the results have only just come out, and it's taken this long to get the 2017 results because by the time all the insurance claims go through and they work out whether it's been stolen or whether
And all the court cases are done with.
Court case.
Yeah.
Then they can find out the figures. So we now know where your car is most likely to get stolen in terms of Australia, and that is Victoria.
Wow.
So here's some stats for you because I know that our dear listeners love stats. Last year, 52,858 vehicles were stolen in Australia. Now,
52,000, yep.
42,592 of those were cars.
Okay.
8,000 were bikes, and the rest were
Probably
trucks.
trucks or something?
Trucks, commercial vehicles.
Maybe light commercial.
Now, Victoria's the culprit. So Victoria lost, and here it is right here. Victoria lost something like 12,000
Nearly 13,000 cars?
Yeah. New South Wales not very far behind it as well. Sorry, 9,000 passenger vehicles, like cars themselves.
Any clues on, was Ballarat the main culprit? Where are we talking?
Most of my relatives are from Ballarat, and I can actually say probably
Fair bit of,
most likely.
All right,
most
we need to
likely.
pin it down.
That website is brilliant with the information that you can access.
Yep.
There's the actual worst local government area was Brisbane City.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So 2,118 thefts in Brisbane City.
Oh my God. And most stealable car in the country?
Of course.
Holden Commodore VE.
Yeah.
Yep.
VE
Yep.
Commodore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. That's interesting because
2013 model.
by the time, the VE rolled round, the old usual suspects that you go for, like a suspect door lock or an easy to force ignition lock, all of that was history. There were the high strength steel in the ignition. The doors were a lot trickier to get into, and yet the Commodore is still the go-to.
908 was stolen last year, followed by, any guesses what the next one is?
No.
I know because it's on the screen in front of me, Richard.
But you'd never guess if you didn't know.
No, you wouldn't.
No, a 1995 Nissan Pulsar.
Yeah.
See, now that, I reckon, goes to the point where that would be a cinch to steal.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a soft metal ignition lock where you just put in your slide hammer, pull it out, get your screwdriver and start the car up, the whole bit.
N15 Pulsar generation, good triple S.
Yeah.
That was what people were going for, I reckon.
Yeah.
Right. You seem to know a bit about this, Matt.
I know.
Right.
Toyota Hilux was next. Now that doesn't make that's no surprise at all.
Well, there's a lot of them.
Ford Falcon, BA Falcon, followed by a VY Commodore.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. All right. Now we know where they all are. We've just got to stop them. But speaking of cars worth stealing, if you want excitement, listen to this.
Life's a journey, and for over a century, Winton's been helping Australians enjoy the ride. Behind the wheel of a Winton, you're comfortably in control of the most efficient, enjoyable, and brilliantly engineered car in the world. In fact, from class-leading luxury and performance cars to light trucks, heavy haulers and agricultural equipment, all supported by our no-haggle lifetime warranty and industry-leading service, Winton covers all the bases. Winton, Australian with a world of difference.
Right, so Winton. Winton, wonderful Winton. And of course, when you think of Winton, we all think of Frosty Chops. And where is he? Again, we've done our best to get him in here this week, but he has a big, big job in front of him.
Is that him waiting in the foyer?
No, that's some other person. Anyway, he is, of all places, at the Inter-Korean Summit in the DMZ between North and South Korea. It's just on the southern side, I think, because Kim Jong-un has for the first time come into South Korea. President Trump asked him to sort of come in at the last minute, and things have been going very well, lo and behold, because Frosty is Frosty.
He's very good at what he does.
Yeah, so, we don't know the details. I think that will come out in the wash after everything settles down.
Yeah.
But he's doing an exceptional job.
I hope he just doesn't say anything rude. You know what I mean?
He's prone to that.
He's a bit Prince Philip.
It more depends on what the social activities are after the formal talks.
Yeah.
When the collars are loosened, and the drink starts to flow.
I thought he might have been there with that band, but
Don't, Matt.
Sorry.
Okay,
Don't
moving
mention
on.
the band.
Speaking of the US and freedom, Jeep has launched 2 new Wrangler limited editions called, wait for it, the Golden Eagle and the Freedom.
yeah.
So sometimes, look, the word freedom can just be a very simple and lovely word. It's great. Freedom, seagulls floating in the breeze, you're on the beach, you're calling the shots, you're doing what you want to do.
Yep.
In recent times, politically, at least the media I've been consuming, freedom takes on a slightly heavier overtone.
Yeah.
Like a freedom.
Freedom, or else. And so here you're going to buy this Jeep Freedom, and the Golden Eagle, as the name implies, has a golden eagle on the car.
It's a bit like a Trans Am or something, isn't it?
It has strong shades of the Trans Am.
Yeah.
You almost expect Burt Reynolds to be behind the wheel
Smokey and the Bandit.
in a convoy.
Yeah.
So what do we make of that? Would you be proud to park the Wrangler Freedom in your driveway? What about a Golden Eagle?
I wouldn't be proud to park a Wrangler in the current generation in my driveway anyway. I'd probably wait for the new one, which comes later this year, just to see if it's better because, no.
I wonder if there'll be a new Golden Eagle then. There might be an updated Freedom as well.
I am assuming, I can't really tell from the pictures, this is the old
and
generation
even
one, isn't it?
freer Freedom. I don't know.
I don't think I'm the only one that has trouble trying to tell Wranglers apart. And this is one way to help me. And look, I've been known to be a bit white trash in my day, so I'd probably go a Golden Eagle. I'm not sure I'd go a Freedom. I'd go, because Freedom sounds a bit wussy.
Well, depends.
yeah.
It depends on which country
Depends
you're
if you're a slave.
If the golden, if the actual Golden Eagle on the bonnet isn't enough, it says Golden Eagle on the side.
on the side. Okay, so that's just to help you along, in case you're not getting the idea.
Yeah, right.
Well, speaking of cars that you may or may not be able to acquire or may not want to acquire, Brabham. So Brabham Automotive, a name that most people would know, thanks to Sir Jack and his 3 World Formula 1 championships as a driver. His son, his youngest of 3 sons, David, some time ago, went out to the world with a crowdfunding initiative that was initially, the wildest talk was that they were going to create a Formula 1 team. That quickly died down, and it went to be a sports car project for the World Endurance Championship, and various ones were mooted, and they were going to be on the grid, I think, in 2015 and then 2016, and none of that happened. And it all went quiet in 2017. But lo and behold, bingo, they have launched the BT62, which is yet another track-only hypercar for rich types. A bit like the Aston Martin Vulcan and Ferrari's FXXK. And I just say, really? It's got a monster, naturally aspirated V8 engine and all this stuff, and you get your driver training with it. But how much money can these rich people actually just splurge on all of these things? It becomes a bit exhausting.
Yeah, I can see the appeal in terms of, like, you look at the sheer numbers, 522 kilowatts, 667 newton meters, and it weighs 972 kilos dry.
I've got to say, it looks pretty good too.
Looks good.
It'll emerge as to who actually designed the car, but it looks pretty good.
But I completely agree with you. Like, is this an option that anyone needs
No.
in that end of the market?
No one
Or-
asked for this.
apart from the crowd that asked for...
I
they
suppose-
wanted the Formula
I
1
suppose
team,
they
didn't
have got
So-
a certain amount of equity in that Brabham name. You know, it was for so long associated with a fantastic driver and his sons, each of which excelled in motorsport to varying degrees. Bernie Eccleston ran the F1 team for a while. It was pretty handy, won some world championships while he was involved. So they do not have any track record in terms of road cars, though. So a racy track-only car, I don't know.
I mean, look, you're exactly right. They can't. They don't know how to make a Kia Cerato competitor. Imagine
You never know.
Imagine.
Wow. You heard it here first.
If you can teach a
Small
dog to
hatch.
jump this high, it can certainly jump lower.
Well, possibly. Look, I like the Vulcan, the Aston Martin Vulcan. I think it looks phenomenal, and it's from a real car company too.
Sure.
And I understand it from that perspective because they need those halo models to generate interest.
Yeah.
But they actually make real cars.
Yes.
Whereas for this, I kind of feel like they're playing make believe. Like, make a real car.
Could be.
know.
What's the build quantity, Matt? You're looking at our story.
Yeah, so we've got £1 million to buy.
Okay.
And the first 35 units will be liveried to reflect Sir Jack's 35 World Championship victories.
70 cars.
But 70 cars, okay.
70
and
cars.
1.8 million Australian dollars, I think that's the
Wow.
sticker price.
Well, I looked
Yeah.
into the ownership of the company, and there's one person on the company register. It's David Brabham. So it's not a diverse board.
Imagine his
The
shareholder
views-
meetings.
Exactly. So it will
Boring.
be interesting to watch that space.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Yes, there's one car. It seems to be real.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a computer generated image.
Yeah.
We'll see if that's actually the case, and whether or not 70 sets of wheels actually roll onto a race circuit at some stage. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting. Now, speaking of aspirations, will they be met? Won't they? A word from our wild side colleagues at Oversteer.
When you're done listening to these old farts ramble on,
Can I tell a story?
come and listen to the Oversteer podcast, where we talk about the stuff that kids love.
Story time with Mitchy Boy. Yeah, because if I don't try, I won't fail.
Like, you know how you roll into a petrol station and you're like,
Would you rather be designated driver for a group of kids on a sugar high or a group of super drunk adults?
Yes, the Oversteer podcast has everything, and you can find it on the Carsguide website, iTunes, and where all good podcasts are sold.
Yeah.
I hate them.
I can see the only thing that Richard aspires to is
I
not spending time with
Hate
those
them.
boys.
I sit next to one of them, and all day long he plays with his moustache. It's just disgusting.
And it's not a very good moustache either.
Oh, it's like a fake one.
Just so long as he's not playing with your moustache, which is also connected to a beard.
Is a moustache that's part of a beard still a moustache?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Put it this way: if you shaved the moustache bit off,
Then it becomes
people
a
would say,
moustache.
"Where's your moustache?"
Yeah.
Really? You reckon they would?
Well, they
Or-
call it a chin
Maybe
strap.
I think
I
they
used to
just
have
say that looks
Abraham
weird.
Lincoln.
Okay.
An Abraham Lincoln.
Now, speaking of questions, quiz. Is it illegal quiz? It's
Okay.
that time again.
Oh, I love
We
it.
have some more Is It Illegals up on the advice section of carsguide.com.au. So I want you two guys to come back with your thoughts.
Okay.
People can go to the site and find out, but just for everyone's benefit, I'll come back with the answers next time round.
Cool.
So, first of all, clock's ticking. Oh, no,
What?
we haven't got a clock. Is it illegal to drive with the interior lights on?
I did last night. No, it's not illegal. Not illegal.
No, I don't think
Yeah?
it's illegal. I think it's distracting.
Righto?
Yeah, it
Fine.
was. It was distracting.
Is it illegal to drive 5 kilometres over the speed limit?
No. No.
Um,
they let you drive.
Technically, yes, but that's my thought is technically yes, but a lot of perhaps New South Wales police do allow you a little bit of leeway. It's 10% plus 1 kilometre.
in some other parts of the country,
Yeah, like
maybe-
Victoria,
Well-
you won't
well-
get away with it.
Also, you got to remember that most speedos are calibrated to be about 5% over. So if you're doing 80, you're really doing 60.
So are you regularly pushing that optimism on the speedo? So you'll factor that into your cruise control
I
setting?
tend to use my own measurement devices when I'm driving a vehicle.
Okay, I'm not going to investigate that at all. Is it illegal to drive through empty parking spaces?
No.
No. I don't think so.
do it all the time.
Definitive, absolutely
I did
definitive.
that the other day, and I hit one of those bollard, those things.
No.
Because I didn't look down.
Richard,
You always got to be careful.
okay, we'll talk. We're going to take this offline. And we're going to discuss that
Hyundai,
later.
It wasn't the i30.
Okay. Methinks Richard doth protest too much. Is it illegal to drive in reverse?
No.
No.
It can't be.
Do you know you can drive reverse up a one-way street the wrong way?
So,
That's
but you're
legal,
going the right way.
because you're pointing the right direction.
Yes.
You're pointing the right direction.
Okay, that's exactly why we have these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Because
We're gonna
people like
search.
you, Richard, are propagating these
We've got to search.
amazing stories. Is it illegal to drive in high heels? Richard, you'll know about this.
It's totally legal.
Yeah, I would
Matt?
say it would
Although
be legal.
it does raise some eyebrows.
Yeah.
I've got to
Well,
say.
you're doing it,
Yeah.
and you step out at the on the red carpet. Is it illegal to drink alcohol in a car while driving?
Hang
As-
on. What?
Is it illegal to drink alcohol in a car while driving?
Of course it is.
You think so?
Oh,
Wait,
are you
if you're
you're driving?
If you're driving,
I'm talking to you right now. I'm not
No,
driving.
I'm driving. so I'm driving the car and I pull out a long neck and have a swig. That's illegal.
That's the question.
That's got to be
That's
illegal.
so illegal.
Okay.
gotta be illegal.
Everyone does it.
Well,
but
you
it's
know
not.
where you
Do they?
find.
Oh, doesn't everyone?
You know where you're going to find the answer. The advice section of Carsguide.com.au.
Wow.
All right. Now, we're getting closer to the finish line, but before we do cross it, in our garage, Matt,
Yes.
this week you've been driving a what?
A Nissan Navara, and this is coming off the back of Ute Palooza that was the last few weeks for me. I've been in the HSV Sports Cat, the Ranger Tickford model,
Yep.
and then also the X-Class and the Toyota Hilux Rugged X, and also
God.
what was that other one? The Ford Ranger Wildtrak. Did I say that?
Yeah. No, you said
no.
a Tickford.
Oh, yeah.
Ranger.
Okay, sorry.
So have you just been instinctively driving towards Bunnings and
Yeah.
wanting to chuck stuff in
It's
the
like
back?
it's like you go on like autopilot
pulling
mode.
into work sites without any reason at all.
I've been to a landscape supplies place 2 times in a week, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
bought nothing.
It's really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swearing more?
I do have good mates at landscape supplies, but they let me load up and test the weight.
the payload.
Yeah, so
Great.
Navara, I put 500 kilos in the back of it this morning. Went for a loop that I also replicated on our big Ute test last week, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was very good, and also. The question keeps coming up, would you buy the X-Class or would you buy the Navara? The answer for me is simple. Yes, I would buy the Navara because I'm saving money and I'm getting a $15,000 holiday.
Yeah,
That's where my brain
$15,000.
goes.
That's a lot of dough, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
and a few birdies have told me that it's a better car.
Well, it's almost the further you work your way towards a flat-out commercial working vehicle, the less that kind of badge stuff matters.
Yeah.
Right. So long as the truck does the job, great. I'll buy it. I don't really mind what's on the grill.
Yeah.
So it just depends on purpose, I suppose.
And I think that's one of the things that Nissan has really addressed well with this Series 3 update is that previously it was more of a lifestyle high-end offering in the Ute segment. You know, it wasn't high-end in the sense that it was posh. It was more high-end in that it didn't drive like a Ute. It drove more like an SUV than it did a Ute.
Yep.
And now with this latest update, they've tweaked the suspension and the steering in particular, and it does feel more like a work-ready Ute because of the way that it rides when it's empty, which is to say that it doesn't ride as well when it's empty.
As laden.
Yes.
Fine.
So,
Right.
and that's what we should expect of a Ute.
Yep.
Typically.
Yep.
But this is, I mean, it's an improvement as a Ute, not an improvement as a lifestyle-focused Ute.
Cool.
So,
And Richard, which Ute have you been driving?
I haven't been driving any
okay.
Utes.
Very good.
I did park besides yours this morning, actually. No, but in something even bigger, I'm driving a Land Rover Discovery, and this is the Discovery.
What did you discover?
This is the one I would buy because it's the cheapest. I could almost afford it.
Yeah, right.
I can't, but I could almost. It's just over 60 grand, and it comes with nothing. There's no electric seats, no leather, no nothing. But I can guarantee you...
Does it have an engine?
It does. It's actually got a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel, the new Ingenium one.
Okay,
and
sounds good.
It's great. It's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
engine.
Wow.
But because it's got nothing electronic in the seats or the heat, doesn't any of that stuff. This is going to be working in 20 years' time when the rest of them are stuck in the the recline
So it feels
position.
like a proper disco. I mean,
It's a
the
proper
earlier
disco.
discoveries were always closer to Defender than they were to your premium.
This
offering.
feels more agricultural, but in a good way. I'm quite happy with it.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Gee, I've been in a base level car as well.
What have you been in?
You had a really good time in your base level car, didn't you?
I did. How did you go?
Anyway, I've been in a Honda. How about those swans, eh? I don't know. I've been in an HRV Honda. And it's the base model car, which, Matt, you reminded me of the particular nomenclature of the model.
So it's the VTI.
VTI. And it's a 1.8 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder petrol hooked up to a bog ordinary CVT, and they want $25,000 for it.
Outrageous.
And I think it's a bit of a telomere dreaming factor.
Wow.
For that kind of dough. And that's before on-road costs. To me, the interior feel of the car, the surfaces that you touch feel pretty harsh. It's a very ordinary, plain Jane kind of design.
Yep.
And the way the car drives is singularly uninspiring. It's capable, but it just doesn't feel like a quality offering. I think you can do so much better for that money.
I think with HRV, when HRV came out, it was basically the stepping stone to what we've come to expect from Honda now.
Yeah.
So the Civic was a big improvement on that, and also the CRV was a massive improvement on HRV in terms of better engine and better everything. But the thing about HRV, I mean, I spent a long time in a previous role in a HRV top spec, which was $33,500.
And what did you make of that? Was it okay?
It felt better than the base model. There's no doubt about
premium.
that. But with a CRV VTIS at $33,500 as
not a
well,
big stretch.
I know where I'd be spending my money.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, the HRV does have its good points. We put one side by side with the CX-3, and the boot in HRV
okay,
is
so that's
enormous.
fair. Yep.
It's also got those, Honda calls them magic seats. They're not magic at all,
They
but
are.
they are.
Alakazam.
I can confirm that.
Although it's got one mode called refresh mode in terms of its seating. You can go on YouTube and check out my Batman video. I show you the refresh mode.
We're going
not
down a
rude,
path
it's
that I
not
don't
adults
want us to
only.
go down
It's
here,
not adults
Richard.
only.
The fancy dress.
The Batman thing?
With that, we have reached the finish line. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
And Richard.
Thank you.
And thanks to our producer, Barbara, for keeping the mics open and the levels level. I don't understand jokes, but he must be funny because everyone laughs at him. And thank you for listening. Please let us know what you think of the program. Search for Cars Guide on Facebook and Instagram and use the hashtag CGPodcast or email us at comments@carsguide.com.au. Have you seen any of the cars we were talking about today? Let us know.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think. Please rate and review us on iTunes. It only takes a minute and helps let others know about the podcast. Thank you. I hope you can join us next week. Until then, remember, car sickness is what you get when the service advisor hands you the repair bill.